iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
Yay!
It's
Can you
true.
believe it?
We made it, baby.
That's not rehearsed or anything.
No. But we do say yay 5 times in the show.
Yeah,
So
we're trying to put in a few more yays. The origin story, Alex and I met at a networking barbecue. Networking can actually work sometimes. And then we felt that we needed something more, and we found a piano player who's going to join us, but that piano player sent a sub before we ever worked with that piano player, and that sub was Huey Stonefish. And we told the original piano players, like, you know what, we kind of like Huey. And then that was it. So we've been making music together, for the 3 of us, for about 6 or 7 years, all the way from playing for 10 to 15 people in the back of a comic book store, and now we're doing 30 shows in a 99-seat theater and on 42nd Street, so it's pretty cool.
Lewberger gets into a huge fight at the taping of our comedy special. The fight is so big that we break the Wizard of Friendship's heart. He sends us into the land of No Friendia, where we must overcome the pieces of ourselves that make us bad friends and reunite the Wizard's heart pieces, all in time to get back for our comedy special taping and for Hanukkah.
When we were actually standing next to Alex Brightman, I think all 3 of us were like, I can't believe he's doing this dumb joke with us. Same thing with, the cast of Anne Juliet. Same thing with Melissa Etheridge. That was wild.
I had been listening to the Strange Loop soundtrack on nonstop repeat for months and months and months.
On loop?
Oh! And
Oh.
then to actually be performing songs that they sing on the record with them was very cool and a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's super cool. Also, I'd say Huey has the most effort there because he has to actually learn how to play the music. Alex already knows the lyrics to these songs.
I'm sort of the king of Broadway.
Yes. Huey's learning, a musical score here really quickly before we do it. I have the easy job.
It's true.
Well, we'd put out a comedy special a few years back, and it was really fun. And when we were moving on to the next idea for our comedy special, our next big comedy special, we wanted to make something different. We didn't want to just do another concert. We love doing our concerts, and it's a really fun experience, and we still do them and everything. But for our actual comedy special, we wanted to create a musical. And we thought, since our next goal is to shop this to someone and try to get it to a streamer or something like that, the idea was, let's workshop it Off-Broadway because it's a musical.
About a year and a half ago, Alex came up to me and said, dude, this year, Wizard of Friendship. And I was like, okay, man, I'm here. And here we are now.
I mean, it's super cool. At the end of the day, it technically is us deciding if we want to spend the money to have the own personal validation. And yes, we did. Because, it's hard to put up a show. It's very expensive. It's very labor intensive. We've been working on the show for a year and a half, but we've been actively working on this show since November, in terms of probably putting in 20 to 40 hours a week since November on this show. So we thought, well, I don't know how many times we'll get to do this. This may be our only shot. Let's go all out. Let's get the playbills. Let's do as many things as we can to have that artistic fulfillment personally, because it's a cool thing to do in your career, but also to enable our cast to be able to have that experience as well. For some of our cast, that's the first time they've been in a playbill, so it's really cool to be able to lift up them because they're incredible performers, and it is just very hard to make it in any kind of performance profession. So we are very excited to help boost them along because we think they're amazing, and we want people to see them as well.
We also think it'll be special for the audience, because it's an expensive show to see. We know that. That's not lost on us, and we want you to feel like you're getting the real theater experience because we're huge theater boys ourselves. And I know when I was a kid growing up, one of my favorite things to do was collect the playbill, have the cast members sign it at the stage door, and that's the experience we want to impart on our audience.
100%. One of my college mentors is coming to see the show. I know that he collects playbills, and I'm personally very excited that he'll have a playbill of ours to add to his collection. That's just a cool feeling.
There are so many ways that songs happen in Lewberger. It's always collaborative no matter how it happens. But sometimes someone will come in with full lyrics to a song, and then it's like, hey, we got to put music to it. Sometimes someone brings in an idea, a concept for a song. Sometimes someone brings in 75% of a song, and then we all do it together. Or if someone has brought in 100% of the song, we'll all workshop some lyrics, punch up some jokes, whatever the case may be. So we're always, it's never just, here's a full song, let's all sing it.
And sometimes we're just dicking around. and then a really funny lyric gets sung on accident. We're like, well, that's a funny song. And then we keep singing it enough in our own little practices. And we're like, well, maybe let's put it on stage and see what the audience thinks.
We're working on a song right now because our audiences are so incredible and so supportive and so amazing. And sometimes people call out, and we get what we call helpful hecklers. They're people who are calling out because they're so excited.
They're
not
be
being
a part
mean.
of the show, right?
Yeah, they're not being mean. They're just cracking their own jokes. And so we're always experimenting with different ways to tell them not to do that. So it was like we were just talking about it the other day, and it was like, well, maybe we should have a song. I think Avery was like, why don't you guys have a song for when it happens? We're like, okay, well, I guess we'll make a song. So the first time someone calls out, it's like, yes, time to sing the song where we tell you to stop yelling from the audience.
Somebody just talked to us. You know what that means.
Bum, bum, bum.
But in a way that doesn't make them feel bad.
Right.
Obviously, we aren't trying to make people feel bad. It's just that we do musical theater. Even when we weren't doing a musical, the Lewberger concert is musical theater. It is very theatrical. We do a lot of dancing and posing and nonsense. So there are choreographed bits. There are scenes happening. And when somebody tries to become a part of it, it just actually messes up our banter, which messes up the show for everyone. Now they don't know that's happening, and they maybe don't think that our dumb antics are rehearsed, but somehow they are.
One thing that is sort of new to the three of us is just tech in general. Our general tech process is we show up to a comedy club as early as we can before the show and cross our fingers that they can deal with us.
Which they never can.
Right. In this situation, it's days and days of tech trying to get stuff right with a full staff. Like usually, we were just talking about that show that we had in Michigan where we were told that there would be an engineer there for us. Like a sound engineer is what we thought. It turned out it was
Just
like
some engineer,
like an engineer,
like a structural engineer.
right?
Like, he's my boyfriend. He's going to run the booth tonight.
Right.
And he shows up. He's like, I've never done this before, but, you know, I do structural engineering. I was like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to run the board. Keith is going to reroute it while I'm learning this computer system. You press this button, please.
I think I've learned, especially because we're trying to put up a show in a very short amount of time, to try to have a lot of patience. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that have to be done correctly, or they'll just have to be redone, and if you rush them. And often, there is a reason everything takes a long time. So I'm directing the show, so I'm really trying to understand what every person is doing, why do lights take so long, why does a program take so long, and as I start to learn, I'm like, oh, that's just how long it takes. So often when you're just the actor on stage, you're waiting for something to happen, you're like, why isn't this happening yet, what's going on? It's like, well, there's actually a lot it takes to even put in a single sound cue, get the level of it right, get the timing of it right, when does it fade in, what is the cue line? We're also doing a lot of improvising, so there's a lot of cue lines that could be the cue line. So just patience and helping everybody do their best job.
I've been learning, I'm music directing the show, and I've been learning, Lewberger has such a deep musical language that we speak with each other, and we are able to come up with harmonies really quickly and just make our music sound good. And now we're expanding to include 4, 5 other singers. And so something that happened was I rehearsed the cast, they sound amazing, they sound so good, and then we brought Lewberger in. And I was just like, well, great, it's all going to work. And it's like, wait a second. No, it's not just Lewberger singing our parts and them singing their parts. It's now we have to have a whole other process of bringing Lewberger with this ensemble that is singing perfectly all the parts we wrote for them.
I wrote the book for the show with a lot of collaboration, obviously, from these guys. And I think I learned one thing I learned about just writing in general is to just like, no matter how bad I feel about what I've just written, to just keep going and then come back and fix things later, otherwise it'll never get done.
I'm happy to say I was the most like, guys, we're not going to sell this out. I'm not sure this is a good idea. We should really rethink this. We all have obligations at home. We have to make money. What are we doing? Someone stop me. I'm spiraling. I'm panicking. And here we are now. We're sold out.
It feels amazing for me because I was actually cast in an Off-Broadway show a couple years back that I was ultimately let go from. And from what I can tell, it didn't do very well. So it does feel a little bit of exactly. It feels like a bit of a redemption arc for me to then go on to write my own Off-Broadway show, which sold out in a matter of 2 months or whatever.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's also so exciting to look forward to shows that are sold out because you know they're going to be fun. Because it's hard to get a ticket. So you're not going to come like with a negative attitude to the show. People are looking forward to it. So it will be fun, and every night we'll have a new amount of excitement. And those are just the most fun shows to do. Every single night we have a different cameo performer playing the role of my father. They come on and they help us out. Sometimes they're Broadway
We have
heroes of ours.
We have some fun people that have done duets with us stopping by. We've got some fun YouTube and Instagram influencers. And then sometimes it's going to be our family members.
Yeah, you might even see my real dad one night.
No.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We're touring like in April.
As soon as we get back, we're going back on the road.
We have a gig in Canada. We have a gig in Spokane and Tacoma. And we're looking for what to do next with The Wizard of Friendship. The album is going to be coming out this summer.
And it has some very exciting things happening
Yes, really exciting.
on the album.
Yeah, some really cool guest artists on the album, which you'll learn about later.
Yeah, and we're going to figure out what to do with Wizard of Friendship. We'll probably do it in Los Angeles at some point in the next year. We don't have anything concrete for that, but we'd like to figigure out how to do it again in LA and ultimately how to
we'd
tape
like
it.
to produce it. I don't know, maybe sort of like how the Hamilton on Disney Plus, where it's a stage taping, or maybe more like turning it into a movie musical that fits the 90s VHS vibe that inspired the look to begin with. But also, I think it's really fun right now to be able to make comedy specials that feel different, and like especially comedy music is such this different thing that some people seem to not understand, which baffles me because I'm like, what do you mean you don't understand? It's music and it's funny. But there's not a lot of people who do it, and so I think the few of us that do it get to decide what it can be. Right now we're doing it as musicals, but maybe there's other ways that we can make comedy music that's unique and new and fun.
Thanks, iHeartRadio Broadway. We'll see you at the theater.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.